Hey guys, what's going on? It's Kaiger1324 up here today. We are back to the back. We are here to talk about the PlayStation Classic. I don't normally do videos on what's going on with the gaming world, impressions, am I excited for this and stuff. Just because I don't really need to do that. I like to focus on what I have and my videos be focused around, my collection and my memories and stuff like that. But the PlayStation Classic is something that's quite big, and I know I'm quite late to the party, but hey ho, best late, rather late than never, huh? And I'm here today and I'm going to talk to you guys about what I think about the PlayStation Classic. Am I going to get it? And at the end of the video I've got a bunch of games down here that I'm going to show which I would like to see on the PlayStation Classic, or maybe I think will be on it, either. Now let's get the elephant out of the room here. The PlayStation Classic is being retailed for about £100, which in my opinion is a little overpriced, but it is somewhat justified because there's only going to be 20 games on there. But if we sort of do a little rundown of the actual console, it's going to be a 45% smaller PlayStation 1. Now, it's going to be based on the original model, not the PlayStation Mini model, which I personally think the PlayStation 1 or the PlayStation Mini model is a little bit on the ugly side. I think it looks too much like a toy. It looks like a leapfrog thing. That's what it looked like in my opinion. But again, a novelty. It's a personal opinion here. I think the original PlayStation was a cool design console. Now I'm going to go through some of the pros and cons and some things like that. But I think one of the main things that sort of grabs most people is this is going to be a HDMI console. It's not going to be AV, it's not going to be a cheap plug and play. This is the real deal. This is like Sony, an actual Sony brand of thing, kind of like the NES Mini and the SNES Mini, but we all know what happened with them. If you don't know, the NES Mini was so controversial, not because of anything that was on the actual console, but because of Nintendo not being able to fulfill people's pre-orders, which is ridiculous. Don't bring something out and then basically go, no, you know what, you can't have it. You know what I'm saying? It's a bit stupid if you ask me, but it's trial and error sometimes with these things. You never know if people are really going to want it. But I think the PlayStation Classic is going to do really well. I think a lot of people are looking forward to it. It's the first 3D plug and play, sort of almost, one of these mini revamped console, and it's going to have 20 games included, which is a fair amount, but some people are asking for a little bit more, which I can understand. The NES Mini and the SNES Mini both had 30 games, but you have to understand the PlayStation 1, a lot of the games on there are big games. In fact, the games that we know of, you've got Final Fantasy 7 on there, and that's a 4-disc game. That's a big game for the PlayStation 1. But I don't know anything about the specifications yet. They haven't really given us too many details on the actual system. But again, you've got the buttons where one changes the disc and the other button will, like this eject and reset button, power button almost. One changes the virtual disc and the other one stops the game, which that's fair enough, but at the same time I'm a little bit disappointed that it's not going to be one of these systems that will allow you to play the original games on it. I think a lot of companies overlook that, is that a lot of people don't necessarily want to get these mini systems because it's a novelty, but because they are a better piece of hardware. Essentially, you've got a HDMI output on it as well, and that's a big thing when it comes to retro gamers. A lot of retro gamers like to have a HDMI console, because most people have 4K TVs, HD TVs, and the games, when the consoles are modded and things like that, and you get all these special items to change the video output and things like that, a lot of people really do like doing that, especially in the sort of retro community, and I can understand that. And on myself, would like to do such a thing as well, and I am trying to work on that bit by bit. But that being said, I think again, if you could play the original games on it, that would be amazing. I'd buy it instantly. But again, you would have to think, well, would the technology be capable? Because then you'd have to go, well, how many games are going to work with this now? Because this is a new piece of hardware. This isn't a PlayStation 1 that's been modded. This is a new piece of hardware. It's built from the ground. You know, it's not something that's been modded. It's built from the ground, at least to my knowledge. It might be modded, but I'm sure it isn't. And I think, you know, being able to play your own games on there as well would be great, but I think it would be quite hard to do because, again, you'd have to think, well, that means now you've got to try and upscale all these games, and are these games going to work with HDMI and stuff like that? So really, I don't think the games that are included on the actual system will be like HD remasters or updates. They'll be the original game in their original format, but again, it will look better because it's made for a HD TV rather than, you know, using AV on a HD TV, as we know don't look too good. But that being said, I think the PlayStation Classic, another thing I want to mention is that it doesn't have the analog controllers. Now, I think the PlayStation 1 controller, which didn't have the analog, so it would have come like that again, so no analogs, that's how it would have come. And you are getting two, which is good that they are including two, but I think that the analog side of things really changed the game. This you know, PlayStation, it weren't the first console to do analog, but it really was the first console to sort of mainstream analog, because the analog feature really helps. A lot of these older 3D games, you know, Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid, Crash Bandicoot even, using a D-pad after a while gets really uncomfortable, and again, you can have some issues with the controls, and that was one of the big things. And I think a lot of people let nostalgia blind them, because they think, oh, these games are amazing, but then they actually play them and they don't realise what they're playing is essentially got a lot of faults. The game's good, but there's a lot of things wrong with it, and that's why a lot of people say, oh, but when we go back and play these older games, why are they so shit now? I don't think they're shit. I just think because we've now got, you know, Xbox One, you know, and PS4, the games are obviously much better now. Games, there's no denying that games nowadays are much more big budget and you know, well made and things like that. For the most part, there are some shit ones out there, of course, but for the most part, the games are much better in today's society. But that being said, I don't have any issue with the console having the normal controllers, not the analog one. Again, it's going for that whole nostalgia thing, so I think a lot of people will be blinded by nostalgia and buy it based on the nostalgia thing, and I don't think that's the best idea to do. If you want to, go ahead. I'm not going to say don't buy it, because like I said, there's not enough information to know to give an actual yes or no, in my opinion. But I will say this, I do think that again, if you let the nostalgia blind you, you are going to find you get the thing and then you'll just go, well, I've spent £100 on something that's a little bit on the annoying side kind of thing. But who knows? I think the ability to use an analog PS1 controller should be included. I think they should make it so that you can plug it in, and don't do what Nintendo did and actually have a second adapter that you have to buy, because that's almost impossible to find from what I know. So just make it into the actual system, and it's not the first, you know, the Sega plug and play or whatever it is, the Sega Mark IV as some people call it, you know, allows you to play the original games and also use the original controllers. But I'm not here to talk about that. So there is things out there that have done it. But that being said, I think the games that we know of, we've got Final Fantasy VII, of course. You know, it would be remiss if they didn't include that. So you've got a big RPG in there. You've got Tekken 3, you've got Ridge Racer, I think Wild Arms again, and then there's a couple more that we know of. So you know, the first 6 games are pretty good, I will say. But now I've got here a ton of games, a ton of games here, about 16, 17 games, no, say not a ton, you know, 16 or 17 games here, and we're going to take a look at them, and I'm going to say these are games that I would like to see on the PlayStation Classic, or games that I think will be on the PlayStation Classic. So let's get straight into it. So first we have the Driver series. Driver 1 and 2 was actually very well known on the PlayStation. In fact, the first game was often considered to have one of the hardest first ever missions in the game, you know, the driving school thing, whatever you call it. It wasn't very good. It weren't very good. These were good games, but they were on the harder side. But again, these games did a lot for Sony back in the day. Big, you know, I don't think these came out on other systems at the time. I think on Game Boy Advance. We've got Driver 2, but I'm not sure about the first one. I don't know if they came out on the N64 Dreamcast. I might be wrong, but these ones definitely, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see them on there. Now, we have probably the often considered the best PlayStation 1 game, Metal Gear Solid. What can be said about this game other than almost a masterpiece? This game is absolutely fantastic. I can't say enough about this game. Some people were turned off by the fact that there's a lot of cutscenes and a lot of things that you have to watch, but I think it's just. I think the story is that good that it's worth watching every cutscene and listening to all the conversations. Overall, you got here just a massive, big game here. Not the biggest as in longest game, but a big game that has the impact on gaming history. And I think Sony would definitely be remiss if Sony would definitely be a missed opportunity to include this game on here. So this is definitely on the higher up list that I think will be on there. But at the same time, because of what happened with Konami and Kojima, ooh, I don't know, but who knows? Because this game didn't come out on any other system apart from PlayStation. And then of course we have the Resident Evil series. I just have the 3rd game, and by the way, these are games, I'm only talking about games that I own, that I would like to see on here, but there's a ton more out there, and I'll give some honourable mentions at the end. But we have the Resident Evil. I have the 3rd one here. I think the 3rd one was definitely on the better side. A lot of people look over this one, but again, this is a fine example of a game series that was really good on the PlayStation, but because of the controls and that, it was very hard. And this is one of those games that people let nostalgia blind them. So I recommend getting the GameCube version, because they, you know, they've changed, you know, they updated it and things like that. But nonetheless, I think Resident Evil should make its mark on the PlayStation Classic. But you have to be careful, because if you include games that are 15 or 18, then you'd have to put you know, the console could only be brought by someone who's over 18 or whatever. I don't know if it would work like that, but I'd assume they are. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of, you know, 18s on the PlayStation Classic. I think for the most part it's going to be mostly family friendly. And then we have another Capcom game, Dino Crisis. Now here's the 2nd one. I don't have the 1st one. I thought I did, but I don't. This is another fine example of a Resident Evil style game, but with dinosaurs. It's a really cool series, and there's talk around the internet of where's the 4th one, and is there going to be a HD remaster, or are they going to do a HD trilogy? Definitely deserves one. It definitely deserves one, I think. But overall, I think this would be a really cool one to include on the PlayStation Classic, because most people, for the most part, never really played this game. Not many people that I knew played this game, but I definitely remember it, and it was a fantastic game. Sorry I'm not too loud today. I'm still recovering from this cold that I've had, so I don't want to get too loud, but don't worry guys, there will be louder videos in the week. I've got a lot of ideas. Well, I'm thinking of a lot of ideas. Here's another one, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Now I know what you're thinking, really. But this game was absolutely fantastic. It was a great game. And also so was Toy Story 2. Both of those games were really good on the PlayStation. But again, because it's a Disney thing, I don't think we're going to see anything like this on there. So we might be surprised, but if they do include one of these, this or Toy Story 2, I think that'd be awesome. Then we have the original Spider-Man games, Spider-Man 1 and 2. I've only got the first one, but the PlayStation Spider-Man, of course, Spider-Man just come out on the PlayStation 4 last month, and that game is doing fantastically. So congratulations on that one. Insomniac Games did a good job with that one, I hear, so we'll get it myself eventually. I might wait till Black Friday and get it cheaper. But the original PlayStation Spider-Man games were awesome as well. These were great games back in the day, and I think if they included one of these, a lot of people will buy it, and definitely great series. I don't think we're going to see Crash Bandicoot or Spyro, even though they're both big PlayStation 1 series, but because you've had the HD remasters or the remakes, I don't think Sony are going to do bring the old ones back. I just don't see it happening. And then we have Grand Theft Auto 2. Again, like I said earlier, I don't think we will see this on here because, again, it's an 18, but I think Grand Theft Auto 2 is often overlooked. I think it's much better than the first Grand Theft Auto, but it's definitely, in my opinion, one of the best top-down games out there. This was a great game back in the day. It was fun. Lots of things to do in here. It was just really cool. It was a great game. I think Rockstar should definitely go back and do another Grand Theft Auto game in this style, or at least have the option to play it from top down, and they have done it in some of their games. And then there was Chinatown Wars on the DS and PSP, so you know they have done it, but I think it's time that they do another one, maybe a mobile game. We might, you know, I think if we were going to get one, I think that's what we'd probably get, is a mobile one. And then we have another series that's I'm quite fond of, and that is the Tony Hawk series. I've got here the first and second one, but I'm not really going to talk much about the second one because I don't think I've played the second one yet. I know, but the first one was just called Tony Hawk Skateboarding here in the UK. I don't think they called it Pro Skater.
I don't know how the fuck you do
I think it was always skateboarding, but I'm sure that in America it was called Pro Skater. In the UK it was called Skateboarding, the first one. But yeah, anyway, like I was saying, this is another example of a series that really did a lot of work for the PlayStation. Again, it was on other systems, but the PlayStation version was the one that most people had. And this game was great. It really took the idea of doing something that you can do in real life but make you feel awesome, because most people these days aren't going to get on a skateboard and be instantly good at it, but with the games you really could pick up and play these quite easily, and yeah, they were hard to master after a while, but great games, good co-op modes, multiplayer modes. I think this is definitely in the higher up ones that I think we will see on there, definitely. I know I might get a lot of hate for this, but Rugrats Search for Reptar, this isn't going to be on the PlayStation Classic, so I don't even know why I included it, but I don't know, I guess this video is also sort of like some of my personal favourites on the PlayStation, so some hidden gems here, I guess. But this game was a great game for a kid. I love this game. There were so much cool things you could do in it, so many different missions, and yes, it's a kids game, but it was one of those kids games that even if you know it's made for kids, adults do enjoy it. I mean, I could go back and play this game today and I probably would still enjoy it. I think my favourite one was the mini golf level. Yeah, not many mini golf games back in the day, but Rugrats Search for Reptar, it's crazy, isn't it? You wouldn't expect this game to be good, but you know, I've heard the other ones were quite good as well. Now here's a series which just, what can you say other than worms? Back in the day when I played this, this was the greatest multiplayer game that we had back in the day, because you could actually use one controller. So you take your turn and then you pass it to your friend or your brother or your sister or whatever, and then it's their turn, and then they pass it to someone else and it's their turn. We all know what Worms is, right? But I think one of the Worms games that should be on the PlayStation Classic, possibly either the first or second one, or even Armageddon, and then there was World Party as well, and I think there was 4 or 5 on the PlayStation 1. But this is a great example of a game. But yeah, Worms is definitely a much better game. Notice my voice has just got a bit louder, but my son's awake now, so that was another reason I was being a bit more quieter. But now he's awake, I can be a bit more louder. So sorry about that, but nonetheless, Worms, this is a great example of a game that should be on the PlayStation Classic, because it's a great multiplayer game. Definitely would be one that a lot of people will go back and play, and it don't matter about the graphic, because Worms is a 2D game. It includes one 2D game at least. And then we have one of my all-time favourite series, the Army Men series. Now here's Sarge's Heroes. I just picked one out. They're all pretty much a similar style of games. Like I've said time and time again, I was a big fan of the plastic Army Men toys as a kid, and when there was video games based on them, it's 2 peas in a pod, right? I don't think we will see this on the PlayStation Classic, but definitely one that I wouldn't mind going back and playing again, at least. Getting into the last few games here. This is definitely, well, there's 2 on here which I think, maybe 3 on here which I think could be in there. The rest are sort of my personal opinions, and I know I've got more than what would be on there, but Total Driving. I've talked about this game non-stop because it is absolutely one of the best PlayStation 1 racing games. There's like 6 different there's like 5 different style of cars. You've got rally cars, you've got stock cars, you've got Formula 1 style cars, you've got beach buggies, and then I think you've got supercars as well, or touring cars. It's a really fun game, but what makes this game so good is the freaking soundtrack. The soundtrack was like this techno soundtrack, trance, techno. Great soundtrack, great game, but we have got Ridge Racer on there, so I don't know how many times they'll want to sort of put like 2 or 3 racing games on there, or just have the one, I don't know. Then we have a game that probably won't be on there, but that is the SmackDown series. Now I have the first one. I know the second one was much better, but I just have it here for reference. These back in the day, man, the wrestling games were great, and with WWE 2K19 on the way, I am looking forward to that game. I am going to get it on the day. I can't pre-order it because I get paid the day before it comes out, so there's no point pre-ordering it. So, no Ric Flair edition, QR music. I wish I had a soundboard. Definitely going to have to pick one up one day. But yeah, kind of disappointed that I can't get the Ric Flair edition, but nonetheless I'm going to get the game, so definitely will be doing a video on that.
Why can't you still pre-order it?
Because the limited edition... What's that? I'm going to start doing that a little bit more often, pausing the video when shit happens. But yeah, a SmackDown game would have been good, but maybe we might get a fighting... We got a Tekken on there, so we might get a wrestling game, but I don't know how good, how much WWE are going to want to sort of branch out and go, Sony, here you go, you have the rights to, all this. I don't know. We haven't actually talked about it. Well, we said Total Driving, but we haven't actually said a rally game. The Rally. The second one here, I have got the first one. I did it, and I think I've got the third one on PS3 as well. Haven't got the fourth one yet. I've heard... Actually, do you know what? I actually haven't heard anything about the fourth one. I think people are enjoying it. I haven't heard anything bad about it, but I haven't heard anything overly decent about it. Maybe I'll do some research. But the old ones were really good, and this was also on Game Boy Advance as well. That was a good version. Or it might have been Game Boy Color. Or it might have been the original Game Boy, one or the other. But these were great rally games, and definitely I definitely wouldn't mind playing them again on the PlayStation Classic. Oh yeah, Demolition Racer. Everyone talks about Demolition Derby being the best sort of banger racing game in the day. Banger racing is what we used to say back where I lived. You know, demolition derby, banger racing, whatever you want to call it. But Demolition Racer, this game, man, it was awesome. There was like loads of different modes. You had your traditional sort of last man standing mode, you know, in the arena. But then you had like racing modes. You had chicken, where one car, you know, chicken, where half of the cars come down the... so you're driving around the track, and then you've got cars driving towards you, and, you know, the whole chicken thing, you know, which one's going to turn away at the last second or they crash. But yeah, and there was also a mode on this game which was like Last Man Standing, but it was basically the first one to die wins. And I don't know why, I really enjoyed this game. It was awesome. I never paid $9.99 for it, but I think I got it for free. I can't remember. Now here's another one which actually I think we will see, Croc. And this is the Croc Legend of the Girl Boss. I don't know about all the rights and things, so like I said, these aren't games that I know that are going to be on here. These are ones that I either think or would like to see, some of my own recommendations. But Croc is another sort of platformer that sort of, a lot of people remember this game, but a lot of people are a bit annoyed, like, why didn't this game hit off? You know, they made two, they never made a third one, and, you know, a third one could have come out on the PlayStation 2. I don't really know the whole story behind this. I'm guessing maybe one of the studios got shut down or something like that. It's always a case of that. But another one from my childhood. Haven't played it in a long time, so this is definitely one that I'm going to have to play. I think we might see this because we haven't. If we're not going to get Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, we might get this or Rayman. And then we have Cool Borders. This is the fourth one. I also have the third one. But I think Cool Borders, this is a great example of a snowboarding game, kind of like the Tony Hawk game. But this game, before there was SSX and all that, there was Cool Borders. Now, this game sort of plays like SSX, you know, like a racing snowboarding game. But also... you could, I'm sure, like, one of the things you could do in this game was sort of like punch people and stuff, like Road Rash. So it's kind of like a mix between that, but these games were awesome. So maybe one of the Cool Borders games. I can't remember what one I had as a kid. I think it was the second one. And last but not least, I think it was obvious that you were going to see this one. No one can stop Mr. Domino. I've already talked about this game in my last fucking video. It's crazy, man. This game is just one of the weirdest, but one of the best games ever, man. Mwah! This is my holy grail. You know, I could literally, like, put this up on the wall and never touch this game. I could do that if I wanted to. But, yeah. So, but the PlayStation Classic, those are some of my own recommendations. Like I said, I just picked out some games for reference. I've got, you know, like I said, there's Rayman. You've got some big RPGs out there like Vagrant Story, Legend of the Dragoon, which is often considered to be one of the best PlayStation RPGs. You've got other fighting games like Tekken, Soul Calibur, you know, one of the Dragon Ball Z fighting games. You've got, what are some of the other fighting games? Street Fighter games. Dynasty Warriors, the first one was a fighting game, I guess. But there's a ton of games out there, and, you know, oh, I forgot to mention one. Micromaniacs and Micro Machines V3. How did I forget to pick those ones up? Both of those games, awesome racing games. Micromaniac, you play as little people. Micro Machines is the cars. Both of them are awesome series, and I think the PS1 version of Micro Machines V3 was the best version. I think there was also a Dreamcast version, or there was a version which was better, but I know for a fact both of those games were awesome. It would be cool to see one of them on there. But overall, I think the PlayStation Classic is, in my opinion, I'm not going to go out and pre-order it, because like I said, it'd be a bit stupid to go out and pre-order it not knowing what other games are going to be on there, you know, not knowing the specifications, not knowing what it's capable of, what some of the cool things you can do with it, because obviously you're going to be able to do things in the games like how is save states going to work. Is it going to include a virtual memory card, which it probably will. You know, is it going to, if someone was to hit the change game button by accident, you know, if you've got a kid or something, how would would the game automatically do a save state in case you hit it by accident? So what are some of the precautions against that? You know, so you don't get corrupted files and lose your save files, because, you know, this would support autosave, guys. And saving was a big thing back on the PlayStation. I remember that. You know, everyone was going, oh my god, you can actually save your games and go back to it instead of a password system like the NES and SNES Mini. I think we're going to get some cool little features thrown in there. What sort of features are Sony going to throw in there? You know, audio option, video options, you know, like video fidelity, scan lines, CRTV mode, all of those good things. I don't think we're going to see any accessories to come with it other than the controller. I don't think it's going to include physical memory card. I think it's going to be an inside memory card. I don't think we're going to get any sort of light guns, because again, you know, light gun games don't work on a HD TV. So I think all in all, I don't think the price is too much. Like I said, I think it's £100, but it was 99 US dollars, so round it up to $100. It works at about 90, 85 pounds. So I don't know if they're going to do that, or they're just going to go on £99, 99 worth the same, you know, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. I think maybe when we hear more about the games that are going to be on there, if there's some rare ones on there, I think if they include something like Legend of the Dragoon, I think a lot of people will buy it, because some of these games are quite expensive, and PlayStation 1 is becoming a lot easier to find, I will say, now that CEX is selling PlayStation games. Thank you. After all these fucking years, man was trying to tell them, yeah, when are you going to start selling those retro games? And they were like, I don't think we ever will. And then like a year later, what do I see? Fucking retro games in there. And now they're fucking charging. Man saw Legend, Panzer Dragoon's Saga the other day in CEX. £355 that was being sold for. I know that's crazy, right? I mean, but that's fucking mental. But I do like the fact that, you know, that PlayStation 1 games aren't impossible to find anymore, but then you've got eBay and Amazon and all these online sites, so they're not hard to come by. But I think including some rare games on the PlayStation 1 Classic will definitely boost sales, and will definitely, I think a lot of people will buy it. What other sort of classic systems do I think will come out? You know, you've got the N64 Classic. Will there be a PS2 Classic? If there was a PS2 Classic, that'd be pretty cool. What other things we're going to see? Maybe a Sega Dreamcast Classic. You know, there's that Sega Mega Drive one that's coming out, the official one. Have you gone for a poo? Or you fired? Nice. But overall, I think it's going to be a cool experience. I think hopefully most people will be happy with it. Oh, what have you done? He's got his hand stuck. Oh, he got his hand stuck in his toy. But overall, guys, I think the PlayStation Classic for the Sony are going to let people down again. But speaking of Sony, I do want to mention PlayStation Now is getting an update. I think it's live in America, so fuck you guys in America. I'm joking, seriously. I'm a bit gel if I'm going to be honest. PlayStation Now has finally done what it should have done in the fucking first place. Being able to download your fucking games instead of streaming them. PlayStation Now, you've got over 500 games on there, and plus they've also added PS2 games onto there, so that's awesome as well. It's a great idea. 500 plus games, being able to play whenever you want, you know what I mean? For a monthly subscription. Kind of like the Game Pass. But Sony went, you know what? Instead of letting people download them and stuff, just make them stream them. And if you ain't got good internet or wired connection, which I don't actually have a wired connection. I do have one, but I can't, because I moved all the room around, it won't reach, so I'm kind of pissed off about that. But being able to now download the games. I don't know about if you can download all of them. I know most of them you'll be able to download. But I also heard something about the PS3 emulation on there is not going to allows you to save it straight to your PS4 now. I don't know. I've heard something about that. I don't want to talk too much about that because I don't know a lot about it. But I think it's a cool update. I don't know when it's coming out for us in the UK. I hope it comes out for us in the UK. If it don't, I'll be pretty pissed off. But when it does come back out, man's going to have to download PlayStation Now again and start paying for that monthly, because I don't have a ton of PS4 games, so I've already done my PS Now video. In fact, my PlayStation Now game list video is my most watched video. That's nearly got 9,000 views. I can't believe it. Like, I remember when I did that video and then it got like, then it was like 20 views, and then when I looked at it, I was like, yo, this has got like 8,000 views. When the fuck did this happen? So, man can do good videos sometimes. I don't know if it's good video, but man can make videos that have a lot of fucking views, and, you know, being happy like that, you know what I'm saying? But, hopefully I get over the worst of this cold. Hopefully it's gone by Wednesday or something. I am going to try and upload every day, if possible. If not, it might be every other day. I'm going to try and do more gameplays. I'm going to try and do playthroughs. I'm going to try and play some retro games. So PlayStation, if any of these games have done you any justice and you want me to play them, let me know. But I wanted to do this video to sort of give my personal opinions on something. If you guys like these sort of videos where I sort of keep up to date with like the gaming news and things that are coming out and give my opinions on them, let me know in the comments below. But anyway, we've got time to wrap this video up, I think. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to have a like, and of course comment below. Let me know what games you want to see on the PlayStation Classic. Are you getting the PlayStation Classic? And do you think any of these games that I've shown definitely should be on the PlayStation Classic? And of course guys, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I will leave a link in the description. And of course, if you want to, feel free to follow me on Patreon. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, you know, give a pound in it, you know what I'm saying? But of course, guys, have a nice day. And I'll see you in the next video, which I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I'm thinking gameplay. So hopefully there'll be some gameplay. Take care and bye-bye.